author's midstream too, and so you can imagine.
Yeah, that's a little frustrating.
It's almost a complete rewrite.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Looks like my signal is kind of crummy. I'm gonna plug in my Ethernet over here.
Uh-oh. Hey, you usually have the best signal of all of us.
Yeah, well, I didn't have because I always have the Ethernet plugged in, and I was being negligent tonight and not doing it. So we should be good though.
Oh, you're already much clearer.
Goodness. Oh, good. I'm glad
I'm in a different room.
Well, and all I've
room.
all I've been doing for the last hour or so is I've been laying on my side with this little Yahoo. This is for those of you out there wondering. This is Mariana the Chihuahua. She's my little sweetie. She's camera shy, but we've just been cuddled up together on the little spare bed down here, reading Jonathan Mayberry's Extinction Machine, which is always good. I really love his books, and I especially like his Joe Ledger books.
Yes,
because they're cool. They're really cool, aren't they?
He still has my favorite opening of all time for Patient Zero. That first chapter, that opening.
That was great.
That is still my favorite of all time openings.
I can't remember what it was now. I've read so many of these. What was the opening?
Let's see if I can remember it. Let's see. When you have to kill somebody twice, there's either something wrong with your world or wrong.
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Well,
That was good.
I know I just butchered that. Sorry, Jonathan. But yes.
No, good times. And I was always a big fan of Jack Reacher, the Lee Child series. And so when I found this, and I didn't find this until after Jonathan was on the show, that I got into him, I was like, oh, this is great. Now I have two of these badass guys I could read about. Wait, are we live? Katie, are we live?
Yes.
You pressed the button.
What the heck is going on here?
His button really
We need to talk to somebody.
Really good too, for kids.
I've been binging Unafraid, and Katie reads her series Competent. Awesome. Regine, I'm glad to hear it. Those are both quality. Those are both quality shows. I like that. Katie, we need to talk to somebody about what podcasting is and how to do it right, because it seems like we have a lot to learn. We've got to find somebody who knows about podcasting.
Well, that's good, because our guest tonight knows everything about podcasting.
Whoa.
He is going to school us. So get your notebooks and pens ready, okay?
Nice. And Jane knows everything there is to know about posting cool landscape pictures.
Yes, I've been finding the most incredible ones.
They're great. I'm not kidding.
They're just calming, and it's just like, holy cow! Okay, this is calming me.
Yep, you need Zen. Go to Jane's page.
Yes, good music, good scenery, and whatnot. So you can tell my days at the day job have been really stressful because I'm posting more.
I'm doing this instead of killing people.
I need to be.
Yeah, wait a second. I thought when you had stressful days, you killed people in your stories.
I work in a broker dealer as a business analyst during the day. So I've been working on this project, no lie, for over 2 years, and it's going live in May. So it's like time.
A little stressy. Yes. Well, there seems to be a lot of weird stuff going on. Okay, is the show that we're on right now? What is this? Where are we here? What are we doing?
And we have to pay homage to somebody, don't we?
Yep. Yes, we do. Yeah. But Jay's running the show today.
What? No, I was trying to be cute about it and give it back to you.
No, you're the man with the buttons. Come on, Jay, you can do this.
Okay. All right. You want me to run stuff? Let me see if I can figure out which video it is. So whoever I pick first, that's going to be the show today. Go.
Hello, everybody. I am Joe Compton, and welcome to our channel, Go Indie Now. This is the place that celebrates indie artists and indie art, and we do so by producing several shows that either air on daily, weekly, monthly, or seasonal scheduling. And within those shows, we aim to educate and entertain you. If you're an indie artist who's trying to figure out how to do this, this is the place you need to be. If you're an indie artist who's looking to promote and doesn't have any avenues and is tired of the grind, this is the place to be. Because remember, it's always time to go indie now.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
I knew you could do it.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's really good because I don't know where the buttons are.
Well, that was super duper professional of me, and I've got to say, I'm impressed even with myself. So this is a big deal. But and also,
All right, wait, hold on.
Wait, what? What do you want?
You got to master the intro. Ready?
Oh, okay.
On 3.
Okay, do it.
1,
Okay.
2.
Wait. On 3 or on the beat after 3?
Go.
It's always time to go indie now.
Dang it!
Is that the intro that we were doing?
You're
Is that
fired.
what we're talking about? I don't know what we're talking about here.
You're fired.
Oh.
All
New
right.
guest,
I guess I got
Jason.
Mama Hen over here. Fine.
Hi, everybody.
All right, for those of you who are still watching out there, welcome to Spilling Ink. We are the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. And today we have an amazing author and podcaster. Jason, I'm going to screw up your last name.
It's
Meuschke.
Meuschke. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
So,
never mind.
It's not your ski, it's my ski.
I like that. Okay.
My wife came up with that. But thank you. I'm so happy to be here. This is you guys. I was binging the other day some of your past episodes. I'll listen to an audiobook for a week, so I fall behind on all my shows, and then I got to catch up on everything. So I was catching up on like 2 or 3 weeks of Spilling Ink. And you guys have had some incredible guests here lately. The PTSD author, that was man, I was about in tears with her, and just some great stuff. I'm like, man, what in the world am I doing here?
See, that's the beauty of this show. We've always aimed to talk to as many people and figure out, how they came to this process. And everybody's got a story.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So speaking of that, let's hear your story, because you're not just an author, you're also a podcaster. So you do double duty here.
I do.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Author and podcaster? You can do both?
Yeah. Well, I learned it from you, Joe.
This is amazing.
I like that. Remember those commercials in the 90s? I learned it by watching you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. After school specials.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. I remember those. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so I remember lots of those.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working for years and years trying to come out with my first book. And once I finally finished it and realized, like, wow, this is going to come out in a couple of months. And maybe do I need to make a web page? Do I need to do something? How am I going to let people know about my show? And my wife actually had been giving me had been encouraging me, saying like, oh, well, you've been listening to this podcast. You'd be good at that. And so I kind of looked around and I thought, well, maybe I could find or make a show that will bring on other authors in the same position I'm in. And originally I thought I would just do indie authors like ourselves. Quickly learned that we're not alone in needing to market our books. Unless your name is Stephen King or, you got Harry Potter in your wheelhouse, then you still are hitting the streets and trying to tell everybody, I've got a new book.
That's so true. Oh my goodness. And you can always tell when it's a big list author or not by the size of their name on the book cover. Because if you look at a Stephen King, his name is just as big, if not bigger, than the book title.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, could we do that same thing?
Well, you
Just
can.
pretend we're big?
You can, but it's done that way because he's selling the book by his name. People who like Stephen King are going to buy anything Stephen King puts out So they just see his name on the cover and it's an instant buy.
Yep. I'll never be able to do that though. My name will end up being hyphenated, and then MEU hyphen SCH hyphen. Can't do that. So it'll always be small at the bottom or somewhere.
You could change the spelling around and just have a pen name, and it's just M.I. Ski.
My wife and I put together a MYSKI.
Oh, I like that
for some of our stuff.
That's good.
So
yeah, I like that.
Man, your wife was really clever.
Oh, she is amazing. Yes, you got a problem, she's got an answer for it. So she's incredible. So she's always been my biggest inspiration, my biggest fan, and my partner.
Oh, see, I like hearing when creatives are married to other people who support them. That's a good thing.
Well, in fact, back in, when was this? It'd be 99 when I was first thinking about maybe writing. She was the one that got me back into it. I'd been kind of tooling around for a while, all throughout the 90s. I'd been in and out of the military. And then in 99, she had joined and was going to be leaving in a few months for basic training. And all of a sudden, here's a package shows up on our front door, and it was from the Institute of Children's Literature. And it was one of those, like the Art Institute. It's, hey, do you think you can draw? Well, this was, do you think you can write? Fill out these answers, write a little thing about yourself, and then tell us a story about something, and then submit it. And it came back. She was like, yeah, I got this for you. I think you'll like this. So I filled it out, sent it in, and about 2 months before she left, I got my acceptance. And yeah, you're going to be with my instructor was Rhea Ross, who stuck with me for 2 years while I did correspondence courses with them.
That's
awesome.
So yeah.
So now, did that writing result in your first published book, or was that just getting you ready to jump into publishing your first book?
That was just getting me ready. I spent the next 5 or 6 years being a stay-at-home dad. Our kids were all 5 and under at that time. And I would study the courses, fill out the things, and do that. I did a little bit of online writing for a few places. There was I was the only dad, I think, that wrote for a webzine for a little while called the Stay-at-Home Mom. And had a couple of articles on there, and did some weekly recaps of the Kansas City Chiefs game, things like that. But I just never could get myself over that hump of the first 5 or 6 chapters. And then I'm like, well, now what? And to graduate, I had to write the first 3 chapters of a novel, and then how it might end. It's a summation of the rest of it. And did that, graduated. I thought, well, this is what I'll write. And now once I graduated, I was just like, I don't know what to do with this now. And about a year after that, a couple years after that, I went back to work, and kids were all in school then. It was like, yeah, it's time to go back to work. And for a long time, I was really down on myself. I thought, man, I wasted all this time, all the schooling and everything. But now I look back at it, it's like, yeah, but I learned so much, and I'm using it now. And I just got more life experience along the way.
There you go. Well, that's a great way to look at it.
If you enjoyed it, then really you're not wasting any kind of time at all. This is something I talk to my therapist about all the frickin' time, because I have this complex that unless whatever I've bought or invested my time in is leading to something productive or some kind of financial gain, then it must not be worth anything, which is total crap. Just something that some of our brains tell us, if you're enjoying it, it's totally worthwhile. I didn't write The Cold Room until I was, 30 or 32. And I wanted my whole life to write a novel, but I was terrified of starting it, because how do you start writing a novel? Well, we've talked about that many times on this show now, but those fears they seem so real, and sometimes they seem insurmountable. And I think that's why shows like this and like yours and the Go Indie Now network are so valuable to writers, because even if you have, tried your hand at a couple books, man, there's always more you can learn. And just having peers is such a feeling.
Well, and it was the connection there with the podcast was that it was podcasting that got me back into writing. I'd been feeling the bug. I really wanted to do it. I had a job where I was outside an awful lot. or I just had downtime at my job. And so I was either listening to music or whatever. Then I found podcasts, and I was just listening to whatever pop culture thing, or, fishing, even instructions, that kind of stuff, because I'm a fisherman. And I started thinking, like, wait a minute, what am I doing that's going to help further what I want to be, aside from the fisherman? Gotta do that still. So I thought, all right, well, let me get back into some writing classes or podcasts. And I looked years before when we were living in Japan, and the only ones I found was very literary, and it was talking about the sentence structure and stuff. And I was just like, I can't work out to this. I'm going to fall asleep. So
boring.
Yeah. So and half the time I was forgetting. I'd forgotten my Mad Libs. Like, wait a minute, what are they talking about? This is the a comma after. Oh gosh. All right, whatever. But I found a show called, it's been long since off the air, and I found a show, and half the show was pop culture stuff. Half the show was writing instruction or talking about something writing. And a lot of times it would combine the two into a lesson, and they were fantastic. And they recommended, like, oh yeah, you got to find a writing club and it'll help you out. And like the next day in the paper, I see an advertisement for a local writing club that was about to meet that day. So I called my wife. I was like, hey, I'm going to go. Is that all right? And so I did that, found the group, got back into it. They convinced me to try Nanowrimo, which helped me. Again, I'd been spinning the wheels on my first book, and I wasn't going to do Nanowrimo. And then I thought, all right, maybe if I start over, I'll just start over with it and push through. And who cares if I make a mistake or not? I'll just do it. And yeah, it was great. I did like 55,000 words that year.
Awesome.
And that's so cool.
The book ended up the first draft, fully finished draft, was 119, and I got down to 97, I think, is the final. But,
okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just I think that I have the opposite problem that you had when you said that you had a tough time getting through the first 5 chapters. I have a tough time getting through the last 5 chapters. I just got this horrible fear of finishing a project that I can't seem to get over. But it's funny, we all write so differently. And the writing and publishing podcast that I used to listen to a lot was the Creative Pen with I think it was Joanna Penn.
Yep.
There was a lot of good stuff on there, and I haven't listened to it in a long time now, but that was, I think, the first podcast that I ever listened to that was about writing and publishing, and there was just so much good information. Mm-hmm. And then Spilling Ink, it's like, man, we have so many amazing guests on that are teaching us every week. And I feel bad because we haven't really introduced Jane yet, and Jane is just sitting there, she's a little tired. Jane's fresh back from the hospital after having the baby, and so we're glad that she's back with us. Thank you for returning. We appreciate it.
Last week we were. It was sort of a off the. We weren't sure if we were going to go Sunday morning first thing or Saturday night. We ended up going to Saturday night for Easter, going down to Connecticut. So I didn't even bring my computer, so I couldn't even get on.
And you're going to have a new daughter-in-law.
Yes.
Right? Yes, congrats.
Yeah. Next week, William will be here, so he can come on. And you can rest.
Oh, sweet.
Was that a total surprise, or did he tell you guys?
He told us.
Okay.
And his sister, who is here this weekend, helped him pick out the ring, helped him plan it, because he was going to do it, while they were in Vermont, but he wasn't sure he could get the ring in the suitcase and there without her finding it. So my son is 21, and he just got engaged last weekend. So
the pictures were so cute, and I love seeing that kind of happiness. I really do. It's the same reason I like officiating weddings, is just everybody's so damn happy. I mean, it's infectious. It's hard not to be happy with them. It's such a good feeling.
Well, my daughter's a wedding planner, right?
Your daughter is?
Yeah, she's got her own wedding planning business. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. That's perfect. That's perfect.
So if she ever does weddings in Michigan, it needs a justice of the peace.
There you go.
There you go. There you
There
go.
you go.
That's exactly how the indie services work too. We all swap with each other to help each other out.
Yeah. Well, just look at our podcast and webcast, whatever. What do you call a video podcast? I've been struggling with this. Is this
I call it a web show.
A web
Yeah.
show? Okay.
Yeah.
Look at our network of shows here that we do. We pass around guests and refer each other to everybody else, and I think that's how it should be done. All over the place. My wife is one of the top photographers here in West Michigan, but she can't do everything, all the clients that get in touch with her. So she has other photographers that she networks with, and they swap work back and forth, and it works really, really well. And I love seeing that kind of good relationship between people. It's such a
the ecosystem going too.
Yes.
Everybody gets the opportunity to be able to do what they can.
Yeah, well, and even some crossovers like Regine, who watches Spilling Ink and listens to Unafraid and watches Katie read her series competently. Katie reads her series competently.
Yeah,
I think it's like that was like one of those backhanded compliments, because we all know I flub every single time I read.
You're great.
It's become a game now. Every time I flub, take a drink.
Well, the funny thing is I have my weaknesses too, and I shouldn't even tell you, but my big weaknesses is because I'm really good at running my own shows and knowing what I'm going to say to get the other person to say what I want to hear. But if you ask me a question, see, I'm not used to that. So I just kind of sputter. I mean, I sound like an old lawnmower, and so that's my big problem on these shows.
So
Regine,
like putting the mic in front of somebody's face, but not having it in front of yours.
right.
Well,
same
Jay
with
does
the
a
camera.
good interview. Jay does a good interview. Have you seen some of his on-the-spot interviews at the conventions that he did a few years ago?
Oh, they're fun. I can't wait to do those again, Katie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, public.
He is a good interviewer. Very good interviewer.
So, Jason, what's your interview style?
Pretty loose, really. I will.
Well, you said Jason, not Jay. Okay, we're good.
Thanks. Love you too.
I keep it very casual. Bring them on, introduce them. We'll just chat about their books and what they have in the past, whether it's one book or several books, and just very casual and light. Try to keep it fun. I'll try and get on a little bit early with them and just chat for a little while, put them at ease. Haven't had anybody too nervous here lately. Sometimes the newbie authors are like, "This is my first podcast," and so I don't. Like, it's all right. We're gonna have fun. Don't worry. And this is why I don't do. This is why I don't do video either, so that way I can edit and put it together later on if you make a mistake, or if the dog barks, or somebody flushes the toilet upstairs, because I'm in the garage and I'm right under the toilet. But they also do a reading on my show, so that I'm always going to do it recorded, so that way they can do that. But I just try and keep it very light and casual, and so far it's been a lot of fun.
And of course, when you're recording it, that means you got to go back and edit it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We used to do that too, and it was too much work. And then when I started the Unafraid podcast, and Regine, I got to give you a shout out. Regine is Rebekah Jonesy's husband, and Rebecca, I know that's your real name, but I can't remember your real name. But anyhow, Regine is so great about being positive and watching all their stuff. And I would love it if you reached out to me, Regine, to talk to me about the other show, because I'd like to get your opinions on it. But I started saying something, and then I got sidetracked, and I can't remember where I was going. Do you remember what I started out talking about?
Editing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
At first on the Unafraid podcast, what I would do is I would, create this huge long script with the guests where they were telling most of the stories, and then I would just interject a little bit. Yeah. Oh my God, it was such a mess. Holy crap. So now every show is just, it's not live, but I cut the beginning and end, and it goes on the way it is. Like, no, I can't do that crap anymore. It's too much work for me. But kudos to you, and you've got the reading, so you kind of have to.
Yeah, I need to edit the readings. I don't do as much during the interview anymore. I'll pre-write a couple of questions to follow up on, just in case I get somebody who's very nervous, and I'm getting like one-word answers. How did you like working the book? It was great. So okay, let's find something to go into here. But that's been helpful to kind of open them up a little bit more. And same as what you're doing, I'll just be listening for something to grab onto, and then run with that string for a little while and see what happens. And I used to try not to talk about myself, but sometimes that helps them loosen up. Mm-hmm. So then that way I'll go back through and I'll try and mark, like, okay, where was this? What time was that? And then I go back and then I can pull my section out. And then
that's smart.
I'll have to do a little creative editing to, okay, how did I get my question into what they're talking about now, and go from there. But because I'll just kind of go on about myself for a little while. I'm like, wait a minute, we're not talking about me. And there was I had an author from Egypt who was very good at flipping the script for me. Was it Egypt or England? One or the other. It was an E country. But they were very good. There's a big difference between those two countries.
I'm just saying. I mean, one time one was a colony of the other, but
yeah. But oh my gosh, he was doing a great job of flipping the script on me, and like, so what do you do, Jason? How do you like to do this? Like, oh, okay, well, I'll do like this, and this is what I like, and yeah. Well, so when you write your thrillers about this, I'm like, okay. And I'm like, hey, we have to stop. This is not my interview. This is your interview. Let's talk about you some more. So, but he was fantastic. He's gonna end up with his own podcast one of these days, I'm sure.
That's awesome. Well, and that talking about yourself though, it's a really good, and I hate to use the word trick, because that implies that we're doing something deceitful or dishonorable with our guests, but it's a really good way to let guests kind of loosen up a little bit. On the other show that I host, there's oftentimes a lot of really intense emotional stuff that's going on. And so, I'll talk about some of my own personal problems, or my own, my things I've talked about with my therapist and things like that. And just, so that people can say, oh, I can relate to that. And then they're a little bit more willing to start talking. But I love the idea of your guest that was flipping the script on you. I think that's hilarious. I love it.
They just haven't found their calling yet.
Yeah. Well, do you ever run into, and I don't get this very often, thankfully, because I try to do a little bit of screening beforehand via email, but do you ever have those interviews where you find yourself just constantly watching the clock because their answers, I may have 10 talking points pulled out, but they're talking as maybe a sentence or two, and I'm like, shit, that was supposed to be 5 minutes, that was supposed to be 20 minutes, and it's like, okay, I've got all this time to fill. Do you just kind of bullshit around, or you call it a short episode?
I will. Those are the ones I'll work around a little bit. I try to keep the episodes under an hour if I can do it. I've had a couple that barely went over. But it just depends on if we're having a good time. If it's well worth the time. If we're discussing the same thing over again, we're kind of covering the same territory, I may go back and pull that out. But I've had nobody that I was anxious to get off the call with. There's been, they've all been fantastic.
I have, and it's not on a show that's any longer being aired or running at all. So, and I won't name names, but yeah, I had someone that made me very, very uncomfortable. It was not a good situation. And then just a couple of weeks ago here on Spilling Ink, we had the therapist on who was talking about PTSD, and I made it for a little over an hour on that show before it really started to overwhelm me, and I had to ditch out of it. And it's funny, I'm sitting right next to my notepad that has my notes that I wanted to talk to my therapist about, and one of them on there in big bold letters underlined 4 times was PTSD. This triggered me big time. What's going on? And so we had a whole hour-long chat about that, because I was like, okay, there's definitely something going on if this affected me this much. But that's the beautiful thing about that. Not that I felt uncomfortable, but that it made me realize that, okay, there's something that I should be dealing with now. What could it be? So I think that was just a wonderful episode. I really enjoyed having her on.
Just
Yeah,
so you
it
know,
was
she's coming back. But I wonder, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think, Jay, you are a very empathetic soul, and she was speaking from a place of raw emotion and passion, and maybe you were picking up on that, and that was triggering you.
It was so hardcore. Holy shit.
What always amazes me is you see an episode and you think, I don't know if I'm going to relate to this. I don't know if I'll listen to all of it. I might listen to some of it and go from there. And once she started telling her own story, though, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's reminded me a lot of things my wife went through. And like next thing I know, like it's an hour later, I'm like, oh man, all right, yeah. This has been great.
Well, and her book was for soldiers, but it's like I feel like everyone could I don't know. I just maybe you're right, Katie. Maybe it was just me feeling it a little bit too much, but it's just like, wow. I mean, this is just it's intense stuff. I mean,
it's
scary
it was
stuff.
a very good show.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of shows. We have had the shows where, yes, you're watching the clock because sometimes the conversation just isn't flowing as well as you'd hoped. But we've also had the other side where we've had shows where it's like, oh, I don't want to cut this off. This has been such a good conversation. How is an hour already gone by?
Yeah, that one was what, an hour and 20 minutes?
We ran really late, but that's why we're going to bring her back because she still had more to tell. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I made them close the pocket door. That's why I was on mute because I was being loud.
Well, speaking of bringing people back, Katie, just the other day, oh my gosh, I've been recording so much for Unafraid. It was like for 3 months, I didn't have anything because I got sick and I didn't try to find guests. And now all of a sudden people are emailing me like crazy. And I'm pulling out what little of this I have to try to get everybody in. But I was just talking to this woman. We had this person who had a great show. And at the end of it, and they're like, yeah, and I was raised basically in a cult. And I was like, you're waiting until the 11th hour to tell me you were raised in a fucking cult? Are you nuts? What are you doing? So they're gonna have to come back and talk about cults because I do love a good cult story.
You have to have her back.
There you go.
See, I think it's safe to say that as much as we enjoy doing these podcasts, it's the guests that really make it fun for us because you never know what an episode's going to be like until you're actually sitting there and having that conversation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you don't always get somebody with such a perfectly groomed beard either. I mean, that is just whoa. Yes,
thank you.
Like the guy from that TV show with a really deep voice and the deadpan humor, Parks and Rec. What's that guy's name? That guy. He's amazing.
Nick Offerman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh, gosh.
I've had that reference a couple times.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure it's a little old. I get I either get David Draymond, who's the lead singer from Disturbed, which I don't mind because he's like, rocker dude, yeah, or Howie Long. And I'm like, motherfucker, really?
There for just a second, I thought you were going to say Howie Mandel.
Oh, Howie Mandel. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Is Howie Long a person too?
He's a football player, but he's got a flat top. I was like,
not him. Howie Mandel. Yes. See, I don't know my Howies very well. I really don't. And somebody told me once Vin Diesel. I was like, no, I think you're way off on that. Even I won't try to. I mean, I'd love that, but no.
All right, we got to do celebrity lookalikes then. Jane, who's your celebrity lookalike?
I don't know.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Did you say Mary Tyler Moore?
I don't know what she looks like. The Black Dahlia.
No, I have no idea. I don't think there's anybody that looks like me.
There's your assignment for next week. Find your celebrity lookalike.
Katie, what about like a Emma Stone for Katie?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. My hair isn't nearly as red though.
Well, that's just dye. I mean, you can do that whatever you want.
Right, so I don't know.
Betty White.
Oh, wow.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Well, everybody loves Betty.
Yeah.
Yes, they
Yes, I
do, but we're not that old.
No, and I'm not flaky. Really, sort of, maybe.
Tilda Swinton. Who is Tilda Swinton? Why does that sound familiar?
Tilda Swinton. Sounds like a
For
Swedish
me?
princess.
I can see her face, but I'm trying to think place her movies.
Tilda Swinton. I'm going to look her up now.
Is she the one that was in Doctor Strange?
No.
Yeah,
no.
I think she was the old one.
The bald
Yeah.
one? Oh, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I can see that. Oh,
So
yeah.
for
got a fierce
Jane?
face. Yeah, I
What?
think that's what we're talking
Like
about.
for Jane or for me?
Don't know. Let's see if I can
Mhm.
let's see if I can
Uh-oh.
do this here real quick.
When I was younger and I had my longer hair, I was told I looked a lot like Kiefer Sutherland.
Ooh,
Oh, I
I
can
don't
see
think we
that
look
too.
alike anymore.
Yeah. Tilda
For who?
Swinton.
There's
For you,
Yeah, but
Jane, I think. Either
For
that or
Jane?
for me. I mean, whatever. I'll take it.
okay. No.
Yep, for Jane.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
All right,
Oh,
so we've gone
goodness. What were we
completely
talking
off
about?
base now. We gotta reel it back in, guys. Reel it back in.
What the hell
Well,
is
I did
happening
have-
here?
I did have a guest in my first year that we got on the call, we got to talking, and then I was going over the format, and then he goes, "Oh, I'm reading on the show." Well, yes, that's what it was. Like, did I not make that clear in the email? Well, no, I don't do readings. Well, it was nice having you. Nice talking to you. I can't use an interview like that without I don't want to waste your time. And he was like, "Oh, are you serious? We're not going to do an interview?" I said, "Well, I'd like you to read, please." And he was like, "Oh, well, no, I don't read." Okay, well, I understand. That's fine. So no hard feelings. But it was a little bit of a I don't read kind of an attitude. I was like, okay.
You know, I think that some people, because usually as podcasters, we'll send out emails that give people at least a little bit of an idea what's going to go on with the show. And I think sometimes they just reply, "Sounds great," without reading the friggin' email. Because I've had
More
plenty of people
often
too.
than not. More
A lot of people
often than
don't
not.
yeah, a lot of people don't read the whole thing, and they're like, "Oh,
What? We're
okay."
supposed to share this too? Are you kidding?
Or they're getting it from a rep who didn't tell them something.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And okay,
So-
so my apologies to those of you who got it from a rep or a publishing or a publicist. Yes, that miscommunications do happen sometimes. They do.
Yeah.
You
There
see,
is
that's
that.
generally when I do the emails out, I tell the rep I need their email so I can make sure they're getting the information.
Yeah.
And the same canned email goes out. I've scripted it so it's got all the information in there.
Mhm.
Make it easy.
I mean,
Yeah.
the good thing was that ever since then, for the next couple of years, see, that was 2018 when I started. So ever since then, I've made sure that in the emails, like, and you understand we're going to read, right? Or they understand they're going to read, right? I don't want to get that was fun going back and forth. When I'm going to toot my horn here a little bit, I had Lou Diamond Phillips in October with his
Nice.
science fiction book, and that was just leading up to it when I got to have his people on. Or I was talking to his people back and forth. I was like, and he is going to read, right? I mean, I kind of like want to talk to him anyway, but I mean, he's going to read, right? Like I can really use this interview. And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, he's good with it." And yeah, he did. It was fantastic and so much fun.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Well, I've got a guy coming on the other show who's been on the Ellen show a couple times and been on the cover of Men's Health, Aidan Dowling, and so I'm pretty geeked about that. But I had to do some internet sleuthing to get his direct email address so that I wouldn't have to jump through whatever hoops I would normally have to. And it's worked out great. It's like sometimes if you actually get to talk to the people, they're really accommodating and cool.
Yeah.
And
Very much so.
It's great. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, since
Yeah.
we're all in the big warm and fluffy now, let's flip it to the dark side. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Are you talking about in my house or in podcasting?
No, about podcasting.
All right. Go ahead, Jason.
I guess it would be after the show's over and I never hear back. They don't share the show. I'll tag them because I've got all their social media now, but I have no emails back, and I don't hear from them again. So it doesn't happen as much, but sometimes it still does come up. I'm like, wow, where did their marketing crew go to that were helping me set this up?
Mine is exactly the same as Jason's. I've been, because I'm trying to increase the visibility of the Unafraid podcast, I've been going after more notable figures, people that have huge followings, and I've been having a lot of trouble getting people to really share stuff, because when they have a huge following, sometimes they're only posting what they want to post, and that can be frustrating, because then you don't reach their viewers or their listeners and that kind of thing. But I think that we've had the same type of deal on this show. Most people are really cool when they come on the show, and a lot of times I think that that it's more of a it slips their mind, or they just don't think, hey, this would be good to share it. But really, if we're only reaching our viewers, we're only reaching our X number of viewers. But you add on the guest, and now we have our X number and their X number, and that equals some algebraic thing that I don't understand, but it's important.
Math.
It is important to like and share on all the platforms.
Yeah.
Yes, and watch, not just like
and watch.
Yes, you need. I think it's you need more than 20 seconds and more than 20 minutes are like the two targets for actually getting the algorithm to notice that your video is being played.
Okay, interesting. I wonder if there's anything similar for audio podcasts, because and I'm sure there is. However, there's so many different audio podcast distributors now that I wonder how that's all figured out, or if it is figured out.
Well,
I'm sure
it's
they
all
have
hosted
something
through the source, isn't it? Or is it actually delivered to the other channels and then they host it? Because for us, ours is on Podbean, so we're distributing to other sources, but it's still hosted from one place.
Well, but take this example. My favorite podcast is My Favorite Murder, true crime and comedy, lovely combination. I have no idea where the base camp for that is. My wife will listen to it on Stitcher. I'll listen to it on Apple Podcasts, but you can listen to it right off their website as well. So I don't know where it comes from, only that it's on any channel you go for. So, I don't know, I just don't know.
It just depends on the distributor. Well, not even the distributor, but the service that it's on. Because I know, like my show's on Libsyn. And they were telling me that they don't have the numbers for YouTube. They can't get that. And then there's a couple others who don't share their numbers, so you'll have to go there. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the numbers I get from Libsyn, and then I will just combine whatever I have on my YouTube channel, because on the YouTube channel I'll have the book cover on there while you listen to it, and so I just add the two up. I'm like, okay, there we go. That's where it is.
And doing that on the video as well as the audio channels just helps to widen that reach.
Yeah.
Having your YouTube channel. We started with just YouTube and then expanded to the podcasting, because not everybody likes to just sit with YouTube playing in the background.
I will admit, this is my first time catching the show live. I'm a podcaster, a podcast listener. I will usually catch your episode later in the week when it comes out, because I'm always doing other things. And so I've got my earbuds in and listening. So this is a first for me.
Very similar. I will catch up on stuff while I'm working and just kind of have it playing in the background.
Yeah.
And I usually end up like catching up on one channel at a time as I'm going through daily work.
And it's much easier, I think, for some people, at least for me, and it sounds like for you guys as well. And I'll have one earbud in and I'll be doing something else around the house and listening to a podcast, but rarely do I have the opportunity to sit for an hour and watch somebody's web show. Podcasts, that's one of the things I love about them. They're always there. They're always accessible to you.
Yeah. And there's some shows that have migrated just to YouTube. And if I have the time, if I'm in my office at work, then I'll let that play in the background and I'll listen to it while it's going. Oh, I can't watch because then I'll get sidetracked and then, all right, squirrel. Not getting anything done, but
Yep.
Well, since
I
we're
have those
since we're
moments all the time.
and
And
since
I
we're
like
talking,
that Jay, I was just going to say, I like that you have your 30-second commercial, because I know I've played that on my show a couple times. You guys need to do a Spilling Ink ad so that I can put it on whenever I'm talking about Project Entertainment.
that's a good idea. We'll do that. We'll do that.
So-
And thank you for playing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I will get together with Katie and Jane will probably do all the talking.
I know I've been a little quiet. I'm sorry.
But it's all good.
I've had
But,
a baby and a 3-year-old today.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
Well,
the energy
Jason, so
level is,
I'm curious, Jason, because you went from, I'm just starting a podcast to now you're having interviews with the likes of Diamond Phillips and who knows, maybe who might be next for you down the road.
Mhm.
How did you get to that point where you're actually able to snag bigger name guests like that?
Absolute luck. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it was luck. In my first 15 episodes, I got Michael Anderle agreed to come on, and
Nice.
at that time he was still, I mean, he was Michael Anderle at that point. He was still like top 10 on all of Amazon at the time, so I was nervous as crap. And I'm like I said, I'm like only 15 episodes in. I'm like, my little show, like, holy crap, this is awesome. Later that fall, I had Diane Franklin from the 80s movies like Better Off Dead and others. She had autobiographies of what it was like being a babe of the 80s and making these movies. So she came on, and that was just luck. I ran into, what was it? I think it was because of the hashtags I follow on like Twitter and Facebook and some others, and she just happened to have posted about her book. And so I was like, would you like to come on the show and talk about your book? And she replied back, yeah, absolutely. And it was the same thing with Lou Diamond. He same thing. Hey, that'd be great. Let me hook you up with my people. And I'm like, yeah, okay, really, yeah. And next thing you know. But along the way, yeah, I've had a few authors that were just Robert J. Sawyer was one that I was just like, I'd heard the name. I wasn't aware until like a half hour before. I was like, gosh, I've heard this guy's name a lot. Let's see who he is. Like, there he is with George R.R. Martin and like 3 other big time authors. Like, wow, okay.
Robert will basically take over the podcast for you. All you have to do is bobble head and smile and nod, and he can run the whole thing.
Oh, he was great. He was
Knows
great.
that shit, and he'll talk.
Oh yeah.
But I think that as a podcast, if you're doing an interview type show like we are, that being able to be a little bit fearless about asking people to come on the show is important. And I think that for the most part, we're reaching out to other indie authors, so we're pretty comfortable with that. But every once in a while, like, Jane had Jonathan Mayberry come on last year or the year before, and that was twice. Nice. And Jonathan's is a really big name, and I think that the idea is just when you're talking to people, just make sure you're talking to people like regular people, so that you're not freaking them out. Because if you get all starstruck when you're emailing with someone to try to get them on, or once you do finally get them on, you're going to end up making a bad impression. So just play it cool.
Yeah,
I've known Jonathan for years, though. I mean, I met him at the Backspace conferences in New York way back. So
Oh wow.
He was already in your extended network.
Yeah.
Back in the 50s.
One of these days, she's going to reach through that screen and pop you.
I'm going to kill my husband. You see this light going on and off?
What are you doing, husband? Daryl, stop it.
Darren. Yes,
Darren.
He's got the genie that turns the lights on and off, and he thought that would be funny.
He's being so
playing cards, so
he's being so annoying. He's a Daryl now, not a Darren.
He's got a brother named Daryl.
Oh shit! What the hell?
That fearless thing, though.
But yeah, I mean, I've got from the days of Backspace or .org, I've got a lot of network people that are still in my network. So,
Did you say
published and indie? So,
did you say backspace or? Well, I just want to point out that I leaned in to hear you with the ear that doesn't have the frickin' earbud in. Oh my God.
Backspace, yeah, backspace.org. It's not active anymore, but
okay.
we used to have, we had some big names. Like I met David Morrell one time. Every now and then,
inventor of the morel mushroom.
Huh?
Inventor of the morel mushroom?
No.
Oh, okay.
First Blood?
Oh.
Yep.
Yes.
I still don't know what that is. What's First Blood?
You've never seen First Blood, the movie?
I don't think so.
Or the book?
Rambo.
Rambo.
Oh, okay. But you got to, just say First Blood. It's Rambo, damn it.
Yeah, 1971. Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yes, that's yeah, and I, so it was nice to be coached by people in the industry early on. Of course, I was dumb and stupid and young. I've learned a lot since then.
That's just describing youth in general.
I was only 40, right?
Oh my God. Yep, that's pretty young. Katie, you've got to be pushing the big 40 now, aren't you?
I'll be pushing the next one this year.
No comment.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 55.
Wow.
Okay.
I will be 56 in July. So, yes. I don't look it.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
The silver color coming in is.
Regine, what are you uploading biopics into the inner tubes for anyway? This makes me nervous. You're not trying to get on Tinder, are you? God, I hope not. Don't do that, Regine.
Well, what do you all think of?
I like Regime's lookalike things. It says I look like Elizabeth Taylor. On a different note, my grandmother's name was Elizabeth Taylor, not the.
Oh, nice.
Perfect then.
All right, so Jason, what were you going to ask? What do we all think of what?
Well, what do you all think about using your platform when it comes to your own books? Because I'll hear you all mention them in passing, but not talk about them too much unless it's something in particular, like well, when I wrote this and this is how I did that scene, but like promoting them themselves.
Well, I'm a terrible salesperson.
Yeah,
I am terrible. Yeah.
All three of us, we are absolutely terrible about self-promotion.
Yes.
Yeah. Gosh.
I can talk to you about covers all day long, but
that was a good episode.
Yes, it was.
That was good. Yes, that was only like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you want me, I can sell you Jonathan Mayber's Extinction Machine, which I'm reading right now, high-paced novel about the possible end of the world as we know it. But I can't talk about my own. I don't know why. Why can't we do that? Some authors are so great at this. And Katie, you're great at this at conventions. I don't. Yeah.
It's different. It's different when you're, because when I go to the show, we have guests and the guests are the focus. It's not just us.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a different mentality.
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm full of myself,
It's just been us. And we have talked about our stuff, but we usually go off on tangents instead.
We do it in like the vein of what we've learned.
Yes.
It's still more educational, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I think? I like is kind of how we were talking earlier, Jason, about adding a little bit of personal stuff in there to help guests open up a little bit. I think that, because every once in a while I'll talk about a particular story and the emotional impact it had on me. Mm-hmm. But I won't go out and say, go to threefuriouspress.com and purchase my book today for $4.99. But I will tell you a little bit of a story, and maybe if you're intrigued by that, you'll do the work. Probably not. I don't know. I guess that's probably something I should get better at.
I mean,
that's one of the things that we've talked about before, where when marketing, if you don't really just make it easy for people to find whatever it is that just intrigued them, then they don't do it. Even if you have to click a link to get to another link, that's too many clicks for them. You have to like the book right here, and the link is right here, and it will take you directly to the sales page.
Mm-hmm.
It's that the keep it simple, stupid principle.
What about you, Jason?
It took me a little bit. I mean, well, that's not totally true. The first 13 episodes, I was mentioning that I've got my own book coming up, but I didn't say too much about it until it was finally available. And then my daughters talked me into taking over the show, and they interviewed me, and then I did a reading. And that was, man, even once I got that ready to go, I was still nervous. Like, am I just showboating? Like, no, I'm putting myself in there. Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Why do we feel like embarrassed or like we should
be so excited? It was the whole idea for making a show in the first place, is to let people know about my books and everybody else's books. And I did it again earlier this year when my second book came out. I was like, but I'm a little more comfortable with it now. I don't talk about my books all the time, but early in the show, when I do like a 10-minute segment of, hey, how's everybody doing? Here's our guest today. Here's some sponsors and other things. And I'll talk about that I had COVID, or hey, I'm just a few chapters away from being done with this and that kind of stuff. But I don't go into it too much, but just enough to keep the listener involved that I'm an author too, and I have books that are coming out, but I don't want to go into it too much either. And I guess unless the book is ready to come out. Well,
since you are a guest on our show, you get to be put on the spot now, and you get to tell us about your books and where we can find them.
Well, they're Amazon exclusive right now. I'm full on indie, just keeping it there for now. Although I'm interested in maybe going back into drafted digital and putting the paperbacks out everywhere. But that's I gotta open that back up and start that again if I'm gonna do that, and that's more time. But yeah, my first novel was 9 Mile Bridge. It's an urban legend paranormal thriller, young adult. I realized later. Thank you. And it's about an urban legend, an old haunted bridge where I grew up. And we used to go out and visit and look for the spooks out there, and we'd take the underclassmen out and scare the crap out of them. And as we grew up, we realized, like, okay, it's probably not, these stories are probably not real, but we knew how to set the scene. And we would, you'd dangle your feet off a bridge just like that cover. You dangle your feet off and you'd feel breezes, and we'd tell, like, oh, that's dead babies that were thrown off in the Civil War. And they're crawling up your legs, and we had strings with feathers tied underneath the bridge, and so the breeze would tickle their legs because we'd make them take their socks and shoes off. Different things like that. So it was lots of fun. And then my most recent that came out New Year's Eve, that's a novel idea, like my shirt. That one, it's funny. Not the one I thought I was going to write next. I actually wrote another one that's part of a series I'm working on. But I had this idea about a struggling author, and it was just one of those it wouldn't come out. And I ended up working on it. And when I was working on it, I got that one done in like 3 months, and then spent the next year editing. And I'm really happy with it. I really enjoy it. It's about a struggling author who his first book was a great hit, but his peers believe he stole it from a dead friend of theirs, and so he's been ostracized from the group. Well, now his next book that he's trying to meet his deadline on, there's another author missing, and he may or may not have killed for that story. So he's trying to meet his deadline and clear his name.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what? It would save so much on the rewrite time.
Yeah.
I mean the book, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I have a character, I won't say who it is, but I have a character who their line is, I'm not stealing, I'm saving it.
That's a great way to flip it too. I like that.
All right. So speaking of that kind of idea, has anybody seen it's an older movie now called A Murder of Crows? Cuba Gooding Jr.
I want to say I have because it sounds so familiar.
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen that.
It's actually kind of worth watching. The plot is pretty good, and it has to do with a writer who takes writing that doesn't belong to them.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
All right. Yep. I would write that down, but I know I can listen to this later on and pick it back up.
That's right.
Would you kill for a good story?
Yeah. Yep. Katie, now that we're at the end of our show, and since Jason has brought it up.
Wait a minute. It's been an hour? What the heck?
Yeah.
It's gone so quick.
I feel like each of us should kind of like pitch our latest thing and, tell people where to find it or something. Go ahead, Katie. Show us how it's done.
All right. So every Sunday on youtube.com/Katie Solitis, I read from A Taste of Your Own Magic. That's book 2 in the Agents of Asset series. The Agents of Asset series is 4 books in total right now, with number 5 coming out this year. I will finish that one this year. So you definitely want to catch up on all the chapters that have been read, as well as the ones we haven't read yet. So you'll be ready for that 5th one when it comes out. How's that? That work?
Great. I think it was good. Jane?
There we go.
Okay. My latest. Let's go. Share screen. Hold on. I'm slow. All right. My latest that came out last month was the Kissing Fate, which is the last in the Death Chronicles 2. It's about fate and death, who are her actual beings, and their daughter, and what the trials and tribulations they go through.
All right.
And it's available everywhere as of today. Why today?
That's awesome. Awesome. But hey, because today's a good day, right?
Yes. Well, it's a pain in the ass. But that's one of the reasons why I was late, because I was trying to get the rest of them live on the other site. all 62 books of books.
Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord.
And I don't have that picture anymore. Dang it. I took it down.
Yeah. I told my mother-in-law, I said, if I ever decide to go back into KU, Kindle Unlimited, tell me no because of this.
Well, if you're interested in reading something that I wrote, you can always find me on Amazon at Jason Lavelle or at threefuriespress.com. But really kind of my passion project that I've been working on is a podcast. And there it is. It's great on any podcast platform, and these are all just stories from the queer life experience. And if you don't know what queer means, it means LGBTQIA+. Just a lot of cool, heartfelt stories, and it's a really good time. So if you would recommend checking out. Now I'll see if I can figure out how to get that off the screen. There we go. And there's some books of mine.
There we go.
Yes.
Look at that fancy.
That's
good
nice.
in a boat. That's a good picture.
In the series that I was just talking about.
All right, I was going through trying to find the pictures because I usually try and make some thumbnails for us, and I guess I must have deleted some off of here already.
Oh,
Hold on, I got this one too.
Yep.
Oh, I recognize one of those.
Yep, and there we go. There's the last one. This one is my recent.
Right, the damn book.
There we go.
And just so you know, since we're doing the self-promotion, stay tuned to my social media if you're following me, because I should have links very soon. I'm going to be hosting 3 weeks of classes on Storycraft, and it's through the Henderson Libraries. So they will be free. They will be online via Zoom. And as soon as I get the links from them, I will let you know. But they are scheduled for every Thursday this month at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
That sounds great.
And everybody who's a fan of Spilling Ink like I am, you might check out my show on the 13th, and you'll see which Spilling Ink guest will be on my show.
Sample There's going to be a Spilling Ink guest on there? Yes. Oh my goodness. Nice. The Sample Chapter podcast. That's available anywhere we consume podcasts, right?
Anywhere. Yep. Same thing. You can see it on the website or anywhere you consume podcasts.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, Jason, thanks so
All
much
right.
for coming on and chatting with us today. It was
Well,
really
this
good
has
having
been
you.
such a
Thank
good
you.
conversation.
Thank you for having me. Yes,
We
this has
have
been great.
special-
I can't believe it's already been an hour. It's crazy.
I know. We're just gonna have to bring you back on for another one. That's it.
Well, I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Sponsor.
And before
We
we go,
do-
yes, we do need to pay homage to our second sponsor, and that is Mistress Rebekah Dirty Jonesy. And she does live readings. If you are not aware, you need to go check her out on her Facebook page. She is a fabulous reader. Her stories are full of magical creatures and all kinds of fun and twisty plots. See, look, I flubbed already. So definitely check her out, and we thank her for being our sponsor and helping us to stream the show live on Facebook as well as YouTube.
Fantastic.
All right, guys, I
Thank
guess
you
we're
all.
done for now.
Yes.
This is always like, I look forward to this hangout. This is my favorite time of the week.
Yes.
But it's closing time. We got to go. So for
Yep.
everyone who is watching, we will catch you next week. We have JD Estrada next week. I know I said it last week, but I got my calendar confused. So JD Estrada is going to join us next week, and we'll be back with some more fun conversation. So we'll see you next time. Remember, like, share, subscribe, do all the things.